There is a silent war being fought right now. It is not fought with armies, it is not fought with politics, and it is certainly not fought with labor. This war is fought with mathematics. Look around you. Look at the skyline of any major city: New York, London, Tokyo. Who owns the tallest buildings? Who holds the most power? It is never the person working the hardest. It is never the one trading their time for money. It is the banks, the institutions, the dynasties. Why? Because they understand a single, fundamental law of the universe that the average person ignores. They are not playing a game of addition. They are playing a game of multiplication. While you were taught to work for money, to add to your pile dollar by painful dollar, they have positioned themselves to let the laws of physics do the heavy lifting. They understand the exponential curve. Albert Einstein is often quoted as calling compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. Whether he actually said it or not is irrelevant. What matters is the truth behind the sentiment. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. Most of you watching this are paying it. You are paying it to credit card companies, to mortgage lenders, to the very system designed to keep you running on a treadmill, thinking you are moving forward while you are standing perfectly still. Today, we are going to break that treadmill. We are going to deconstruct the mathematics of wealth. We are going to look at why the rich get richer, not out of malice, but out of mathematical necessity. And we are going to show you how to stop being the victim of this equation and start being its master. To understand the sheer, terrifying power of exponential growth, we must look back. We have to go back to ancient India, to the legend of the Ambalapusa and the inventor of the game of chess. The story goes that a wise sage presented the game of chess to the reigning king. The king was delighted. He loved the strategy, the complexity, the intellectual challenge. He asked the sage to name his reward, anything he wanted within the kingdom. The sage was humble, or so it seemed. He pointed to the chessboard, 64 squares. He said, "My desires are simple, Your Majesty. I only ask for rice. Place 1 grain of rice on the first square, 2 grains on the second, 4 on the third, 8 on the fourth. Double the amount for every square on the board." The king laughed. He felt insulted. "Is that all?" he asked. "A few bags of rice? You could have had gold. You could have had land." But the sage insisted. The king ordered his treasurer to fulfill the request. At first, it was nothing. Square 1, 1 grain. Square 2, 2 grains. Square 3, 4 grains. By the time they reached the end of the first row, square 8, there were only 128 grains of rice, a mere pinch. The king smiled, thinking he had cheated the sage. But then, the math began to turn. By the 32nd square, the amount was over 4 billion grains. By the time the treasurer reached the 64th square, the king was no longer laughing. The final number? 18 quintillion, 446 quadrillion grains of rice. It was enough rice to cover the entire surface of the earth
in a layer of rice several centimeters deep. It was more wealth than existed in the entire kingdom, more than existed in the entire world. The king was bankrupt, not by a war, not by a famine, but by a simple doubling sequence that he failed to respect.
This is the trap of linear thinking. The human brain is wired for linearity. If you walk 30 steps linearly, you are 30 meters away. If you take 30 exponential steps, doubling your stride each time, you would travel over 1 billion meters. You would circle the Earth 26 times. The system, the matrix, relies on you thinking linearly. They trade you an hour of your life for a fixed amount of currency. That is a linear trade. You work once, you get paid once. That is how you stay on the first row of the chessboard. But the wealthy, the banks, they live on the second half of the chessboard. They do not work for money. They acquire assets, and those assets generate more assets. This is the distinction between labor and capital. Labor is linear. It is limited by time. You only have 24 hours in a day. You can never outwork the math. Capital is exponential. It has no need for sleep. It has no need for food. It does not get tired. It simply multiplies. So, how do we move from the first half of the chessboard to the second? How do we harness this force? We must look at the equation itself. There are 3 variables you must control, 3 levers you must pull. Number 1 is the principle, the seed. Number 2 is the rate of return, the velocity. And number 3, the most critical factor of all, is time. Let us examine banking logic. When you deposit money into a traditional savings account, the bank pays you an insult, maybe 0.5%, maybe, if you are lucky in a high-interest environment, 4% or 5%. But what do they do with that money? They do not keep it in a vault. They lend it out. They lend it to credit card holders at 22%. They lend it to businesses. They invest it in the market. They are arbitraging the rate of return. They are using your capital to generate their exponential growth. They are giving you linear scraps while they eat the exponential feast.
This is why asset accumulation is not a luxury. It is a survival strategy. Let's look at a theoretical scenario. Imagine 2 individuals. Let's call them the laborer and the strategist. They're both 25 years old. The laborer says, "I don't have enough money to invest. I will wait until I make more." He waits 10 years. At age 35, he starts investing $1,000 a month. He does this faithfully for 30 years, until he's 65. Assuming a theoretical market return of 8%, he's invested $360,000 of his own cash. His total value? About $1.5 million. Not bad. But now look at the strategist. The strategist starts at 25. He invests the same $1,000 a month, but he stops after just 10 years. He invests from age 25 to 35 and then never adds another penny. He just lets it sit. He only invested $120,000 of his own money, 1/3 of what the laborer put in. But at age 65, assuming the same 8% return, the strategist has nearly $2 million. Look closely at what just happened. The strategist put in less effort. He put in less capital. Yet he ended up with more wealth. Why? Because he captured the early years of the curve. He gave his money the one thing you cannot buy later: time. This is the hidden tragedy of the middle class. They wait. They wait for the perfect time. They wait for the market to crash. They wait for a raise. But every day you wait, you are burning the most valuable fuel in the compound interest engine. The curve is flat until it isn't. Recall the chessboard. On square 5, the growth looks pathetic. On square 10, it looks boring. On square 20, it looks noticeable. It is only when you hold through the boredom, through the quiet years, that you hit the vertical ascent. This requires a psychological shift. In the world of wealth management, we call this time preference. Poor people have a high time preference. They want the reward now. They want the car now. They want the status now. They interrupt the compounding process to buy liabilities. They kill the goose to eat the egg.
The wealthy have a low time preference. They are willing to look poor today, so they can be obscurely wealthy tomorrow. They understand that the first $100,000 is the hardest. Charlie Munger, the partner of Warren Buffett, famously said, "The first $100,000 is a bitch, but you gotta do it. I don't care what you have to do. If it means walking everywhere and not eating anything that wasn't purchased with a coupon, find a way to get your hands on that first $100,000. Why? Because once you have that mass, the gravity takes over. The interest starts to earn interest. The machine begins to run itself. At $100,000, a 10% year gives you $10,000. That is impactful. At $1 million, that same 10% gives you $100,000. You are earning a six-figure salary just for breathing, just for holding. That is financial freedom. It is not about having a yacht. It is about reaching the escape velocity, where your assets earn more than your cost of living. Once you cross that line, you are free from the matrix. You are free from the necessity of labor. However, there is a warning here. Compound interest is a double-edged sword. Just as it can build empires, it can destroy lives. If you are carrying high-interest debt, you are on the wrong side of the equation. You are the king on the chessboard, and the bank is the sage. Every day you hold that debt, the math is working against you. It is eating your future labor. Before you can build, you must stop the bleeding. You must neutralize the negative compounding before you can activate the positive. This brings us to the stock market history. Many of you are skeptical. You have seen crashes. You have seen 2008. You have seen inflation. You are right to be skeptical. The system is rigged, but it is rigged in a specific direction. Central banks print money. This devalues the currency. If you hold cash, you are losing. You are melting like an ice cube in the sun. But assets, real estate, equities, scarce commodities, they inflate. They ride the wave of the printed money. By investing, you are not gambling. You are hedging against the devaluation of your labor. You are buying a raft in a flood. So, what is the conclusion? The secret of the rich is not that they are smarter than you. It is not that they work harder than you. It is that they respect the math. They position themselves on the right side of the curve. They acquire assets early. They reinvest the dividends. And most importantly, they do not interrupt the process. Patience is the price of admission for exponential growth. The path to wealth is boring. It is slow. It is unsexy.
It requires the discipline to do nothing when every instinct screams at you to do something. But remember the rice. Remember the second half of the chessboard. The wealth you seek is waiting in the later years. It is waiting in the exponential curve. But you have to survive the linear years to get there. Understanding the mathematics is step 1. But understanding where to apply this math, that is step 2. We are living in a unique time in history. The traditional financial system is cracking. New asset classes are emerging. Web 3, decentralized finance. The principles of compound interest remain the same, but the vehicles are faster than ever before. In our next session, we will discuss the vehicles of wealth. We will look at how to choose between the stability of the old world and the asymmetry of the new. If you are ready to stop thinking linearly and start thinking exponentially, make sure you are subscribed. This is the Wealth Builders Academy. Class dismissed.